I just want to make sure that I am actually live because I can't see any of you and you can see me, I think. So we are live. So thank you everyone for coming to our annual Taylor and Mayne Awards ceremony. As most of you know, in the past, this has been not an awards ceremony, but an awards dinner. And as much as I would love to be serving you some chicken and some potatoes and some vegetables and all of that, alas, we're all at home watching this event on a screen instead of being somewhere fun or classy like we were last year when we were at the zoo. I was speaking with somebody today who had bought a ticket, and then they told me as much as they wanted to be here, they thought that they might just be all zoomed out, which is probably a new word that's going to end up in the dictionary, right? I mean, nobody even knew what Zoom was a year ago, and now people are zoomed out. And to be honest with you, I kind of get it. I mean, all of our meetings are on Zoom now. Whenever we have something like this, it's on Zoom, and it's been really difficult, at least for me, to kind of slog through this really difficult time in our nation's history. We've got this pandemic that's raging. We've got a president who's completely unaccountable. We've got a world at the mercy of our internet connection, and that's assuming that you're lucky enough to have one, right? So tonight, I really am particularly grateful for all of the people who have decided to come out and support the Democratic Party. This event is usually held in conjunction with our state convention, and given the last-second changes that we had to have with our convention as a result of COVID-19, we just couldn't make it happen at the beginning of the summer. So we're happy to have been able to make it work now, and I just want to really thank a number of people. First, the tireless efforts of our executive director, Matthew Patterson, and Valerie Stormont with Blueprint Public Affairs. They have done a fabulous job getting everything ready and doing a lot of work to make this event happen. Of course, we literally have hundreds of other people that I need to thank as well, including Ingela Rundquist, our new deputy director, our finance committee, our mobilization committee, our executive committee. We have dozens of candidates who have shown up tonight to show their support of the party. We have county parties that have shown up, and of course, all of you as donors and supporters. I do want to take just a minute to express my gratitude to many of the different sponsors that we have. First of all, our Chair Circle members, who are individuals who donate $100 every month to support the Democratic Party. We're very grateful for your support and your help to the party. In addition, we have the following organizations and individuals who have bought tables tonight. Congressman Ben McAdams, Senator Karen Mayne and the Utah State Senate Democrats, UA Local 140, Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, Mr. Scott Anderson of Zions Bank and Stoke Strategies. Our bronze sponsors tonight, Teamsters Local 222, the AFL-CIO of Utah, the Utah Buildings and Trade, Planned Parenthood Action Council, and David and Rosemary Lesser. Our silver sponsors, the Utah House Democrats, the LDS Democrat Caucus, the Operating Engineers Local 3, the Steelworkers, USANA Health Sciences Incorporated, and the Utah Bankers Association. Our gold sponsors, the AFT, Mr. Bruce Bastian, and Robert Steiner. And then our presenting sponsors, a special thank you to Art Lipson and Rochelle Kaplan. I'm particularly excited to announce that this final sponsorship from Art and Rochelle is a matching sponsorship. If we're able to raise another $10,000 tonight, we'll be able to receive a matching amount of that amount. So we would ask that tonight you do everything that you can to help us to raise that additional money. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll be able to find a place where you can donate a little bit more money. Anything that you can give would be appreciated. All of that money is going to go towards us re-electing Ben McAdams to Congress and electing other officials to try and help us to be able to take back not only the Salt Lake County Council, but also trying to get rid of the supermajority that we have in the Utah House of Representatives and the Utah Senate. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think most of you who know me know that I'm a realist, but I'm going to be really frank. I have not been this optimistic about an election in a very, very, very long time. This really is our year, And I'm not just talking about nationally, I'm talking about here in Utah as well. This is the beginning of a shift in the state of Utah from being what we affectionately call a deep red state to a purple state. We've seen it happen in other places. We've seen it happen in our neighbor Colorado to the east. We're seeing it happen in our neighbor to the south and to the west in Arizona and in Nevada, and Utah is next. We can do this, and we need your support to make it happen. So thank you all for your support. I'm really grateful for it. And I think that tonight you're going to really enjoy what we have in store for you. So we're going to turn the time over now to our newly elected National Committee member, Darlene McDonald, and our outgoing National Committee member, Charles Stormont, who are going to introduce our keynote speaker. Darlene and Charles, on to you.
Thank you so much, Jeff, and thank you everyone for being here tonight to support the Utah Democratic Party. As Mayor Wilson and I conclude our terms as your National Committee representatives, I'm delighted tonight you'll get to hear from our incredible successors, Ross Romero and Darlene McDonald. Hello, Darlene. They make it a little bit easier for us to end our term since we know we are leaving you in very capable hands. But as one of my last official duties, it is my pleasure to introduce tonight Attorney General Eric Holder. When I ran to be Utah's Attorney General, I tried to emphasize that an Attorney General must always serve as a legal representative of the people and not for one political party or another. Attorney General Holder is someone who personified just how you carry out that difficult duty with honor and dignity, even in the face of the most partisan of attacks. I would note that in particular, his work to restore and invigorate the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice so that our most fundamental rights as citizens of this great country cannot be trampled is something that has inspired me in my service to our community. Excuse me, but as my parting words to my wonderful Utah Democratic friends and as I conclude my term, I am so delighted to turn over my time to Darlene McDonald to add a few more comments about Attorney General Holder. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Charles. Hopefully you guys can hear me. And thank you, Utah Democratic Party. This is truly an honor for me. We are living in history. Many of us on this call remember where we were when President Obama received the DNC nomination for president. Many of us remember where we were when he was elected president. Then we learned about Mr. Eric Holder. Again, we lived through history when Eric Holder was nominated and confirmed the first Black Attorney General of the United States. As Attorney General, Mr. Holder served with integrity, honor, and grace. He made history again when he became the first Attorney General to be held in contempt of court. Still, he served with grace. I say grace because faced with unprecedented obstruction, they went about their work every day to uphold the rule of law and to serve the American people. He served in an administration that made us proud every day. To know Mr. Holder's story is to know that he is walking history. We are living in a historical moment when we are tasked to do big things with grace. And with that, it is my honor and my pleasure to welcome to the stage former Attorney General of the United States, Mr. Eric Holder.
Introduction. Charles, thank you as well for that introduction. Charles, I want to thank you for your service. You have done a superb job. Darlene, I'm sure that you will do a superb job. And Jeff, thank you for all the work that you have done not only in putting this event together, but all the other things that you have done as the head of our party in Utah. And thank you to everybody else for inviting me to join you this evening. I wish that we could be together in person, but it's still wonderful, I guess, to see all of you virtually this evening. I hope you all, your families, and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy. You know, there is right now a lot going on in our country, and there are a lot of reasons to feel, I think, despair or upset about where we are. And I understand that. We're at an inflection point as a nation, the likes of which do not come around very often. We're in the midst of a pandemic, an economic crisis, and we are once again having a national conversation about the ways in which we fail to live up to the promise of a just and equal society. Now, that's a lot. I understand why some people may feel exhausted or concerned about, the daily nonsense coming from the current occupant of the White House. But I also think that we should all feel a little bit of hope right now, because we have the opportunity to turn the page on a president who has been, since day one, unfit for the job. We have the opportunity to put in place leaders who will listen to scientists and respect the rule of law. We can renew our democracy over the next couple of years to make it more representative and more just. But that better future does not become a reality on its own. We have some work to do over the next few months to make sure that we turn the corner in November. Now, I'm worried that the current occupant of the White House is going to do everything in his power to hold on to power. There is no trick he will not pull over the next few months. There is no institution he will not tear down or try to damage. His only goal is to hold on to power by any means necessary. We have to be prepared for that. In the midst of a global pandemic, he has baselessly called into question the integrity of vote by mail, questioning the reliability of the United States Postal Service. And as you know, in Utah, voting at home is safe, it is secure, it is accurate. He installed a person at the United States Post Office to slow down the delivery of mail because he thinks it will lead to more chaos as people try to cast ballots. It's that awful. He's trying to weaponize the census by cutting the count short and excluding from the count people who are undocumented. This, I would add, is clearly unconstitutional. 14th Amendment says that we must count every person in the country. Our Constitution says we have to count every person in the country. The organization that I lead, the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, is currently in court and suing him with regard to this. And the past few months have laid bare what has been obvious for a while. This man is simply not up to the job. I mean, can you imagine any other president responding to a global pandemic by telling governors to figure it out on their own? And this is Republican or Democratic governors. Can you imagine that happening? And refuse to have a comprehensive effort led by the federal government, led by the president of the United States. The president's incompetence has already cost the nation dearly, both in terms of the number of lives lost, as well as our economic stability. So the stakes this November could not be higher. I truly believe this is an existential election, the most important presidential election of my lifetime. So electing Joe Biden has to be our main objective. I don't think this country or our democratic institutions can withstand 4 more years of this chaos and divisiveness. So I'm grateful to all of you for committing to that mission with me. I truly believe that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris understand the magnitude of the movement, and I think they're both qualified to lead our nation during this time of great division and great strife. Now, I'm also currently serving, as I said, as chairman of the National Democratic Redistricting Committee. And this is a project I started with President Obama back in January of 2017, after we left office, to make sure that we, collectively, do not lose sight of the important redistricting process that will take place next year in 2021. It happens every 10 years. My team and I are doing our part to win at the state level, to ensure that a Biden administration is not hobbled by another decade of politicians in Congress who come from unfairly gerrymandered districts intentionally drawn so that self-serving politicians are not held accountable by the voters they are supposed to represent. We supported the Better Boundaries initiative here in Utah to create an independent redistricting process because I believe that's the best way. That's the best way to draw the lines. Take it out of the hands of self-interested politicians and let a disinterested and neutral commission do the line drawing. We got to take that power to draw the lines away again from those self-interested politicians and give it back to the people where it belongs. Now, with your reform in place, Utah will have a congressional delegation and a state legislature that better reflects the people of your state. You should defend that vote, defend that institution with all that you have. And that's all I'm looking for with regard to redistricting myself. That's all the National Democratic Redistricting Commission is looking for, a fair process, one that allows the people to choose their elected officials instead of the other way around. Drawing districts that intentionally favor one party creates an incentive for politicians to cater to the extremes of their party. It's one of the reasons why our politics have been so polarized over the past decade. It's one of the reasons why we get so little done. So I'm committed to ensuring that we have fair lines across the country when new maps are drawn next year. Now, all of this is so that when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are sworn in as president and vice president in January of next year, their agenda is not hobbled by a bunch of far-right politicians in Congress and at the state legislative level who want to block their agenda. We saw this happen throughout Barack's second term. Republicans drew maps in 2011 that locked in their power, and the American people have been suffering from that for a decade. We need to ensure that our electoral system is not manipulated so that our elected officials actually represent the views of the people and not the special interests. And once that happens, we can rebuild an economy that works for everyone, not just for those at the top, to expand access to health care, not tear it away from people with pre-existing conditions, to pass a renewed and reinvigorated Voting Rights Act that ensures everyone has equal access to the ballot. Fact is that Donald Trump has wreaked havoc on America, but he did not do it alone. We need Democrats to win, and win big, up and down the ballot, to send a message that this country will not be controlled by right-wing ideologues. And while Joe Biden's name will be at the top of this ticket, this election is really about who we are as a nation, what kind of country we, the people, want to live in. We have, I believe, in our capacity as citizens, the ability to bring about great change in this nation. If there's one silver lining to this dark administration, it is the civic awakening that has occurred in America. I think of the women who took to the streets in record numbers in January of 2017, the scientists who followed them a couple of months later, the teachers who stood up to budget cuts that would have hurt their students, the kids, those students who marched for their lives in the fight for more sane gun laws, and most recently, the coalition of Black, white, and brown Americans who are marching for a more just and equitable society. It is my hope that this renewal of American engagement is not a moment. It's not a moment, but that it becomes a movement, a sustained movement that will bring about necessary reforms and renew our representative democracy. And that is what our country needs right now. So many of the problems that we face as a nation were not created overnight, and they will not be solved by one election. But this election is certainly a good place to start. We truly are in a fight for the soul of this nation, and it's going to take a whole lot of committed Americans to win. The job before us will require great amounts of effort and sacrifice from all Americans who want to build back a better, more inclusive country. Now, I'm committed to that fight, and I know that you are too. So let's get to work. I want to thank you again for having me join you this evening, and thank you for all that you are doing, all the work that you are doing in Utah. You know, Dr. King said that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But the reality is that arc doesn't bend on its own. It only bends when people like you put their hands on that arc and pull it towards justice. And I would urge you all to ask yourselves on a daily basis, what is it that you're doing to pull that arc towards justice? How are you going to make this nation more fair, more equitable, more just? How are you going to make our systems work better? How are we going to deal with these problems that for too long we have studiously ignored? We have the capacity for great change if we are prepared to commit ourselves to it. I'm confident Democrats will lead the way. I'm confident that Utah Democrats will lead the way. Thank you again for inviting me to be with you today. I look forward to seeing you, hopefully in person sometime soon, but I look forward certainly to working with you from now until November, and then after that into the new administration. We can do this.
Mr. Holder, thank you so much. As a proud Democrat and a proud Utahn, I honestly, I can't thank you enough for coming and for being a part of our event tonight. You are always welcome here. Come in the winter, we'll take you up skiing. Come in the summer, we'll take you out hiking. We got plenty of stuff to do here. So the next time you come out, just remember you've got friends out here, and you know, we wish you the very best of luck in the next 80 days. We've all got a whole lot of work to do. We know that you're going to be doing that now, and that work will continue with all the redistricting work and the census work and everything that we're all looking forward to in 2021. And, you know, we just wish you the very best and hope that, hope when you come out here that we can do something for you. So thank you.
All right. Great to see you. All right. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this.
Thank you. Everyone, thank you very much. I'd like to now introduce Ross Romero. Ross Romero is our new national committee man, and he's joining Darlene McDonald. He'll be representing the state of Utah with the national Democratic community in Washington, D.C. and here in Utah. And so I'm going to turn the time over to him, and he'll take it from there. Go ahead, Ross. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, fellow Utah Democrats. I have the pleasure tonight to remind us about who Todd Taylor is as we recognize Nichole Dunn with the Todd Taylor Democratic Gains Award. For those who don't recall, Todd served as the executive director of the Utah Democratic Party for 20 years until his untimely death at the age of 46 in 2012. It was often referred to that Todd had an encyclopedic knowledge of Utah politics, and in fact of politics across the nation, and was admired by several different executive directors across the United States. Serving for that long, obviously, he had a profound reputation, but he was committed to Utah and to help build Utah. He was always an optimist. He was always excited about engaging in the conversation. And he was so beloved, in fact, that people on the other side of the aisle would often ask for his advice relative to, you know, getting strategy of what he was thinking. And Rob Bishop, in fact, asked him to be a speaker when he was a teacher in his classroom. So he gained a lot of respect across the nation. He was tried to be lured away to other parties, state party leadership, but because of his love of family and his love of Utah, and quite candidly, the challenge of being in Utah, he wanted to stay and he committed himself. So many of us had the benefit of his knowledge, got to see what a jovial guy he was, got to see how often he would wear suspenders, which was always unique here in Utah, and really appreciate what he did to help build the party and to give it so much knowledge and institutional benefit. So tonight's recipient is Nichole Dunn, and she has been a trailblazer in her own right, has been adding value to the Democratic Party at the state level, at the county level, and now in the national halls in Congress. And so we want to recognize her. We think this is a true honor to bestow this award on her. And I hope you will have relived a few moments with me about the importance of the Todd Taylor Award. And with that, we're going to see an award now by Nichole Dunn.
Nichole Dunn sees the big picture and the important details. She's caring and professional. No one works harder or smarter. She and I have been a team since we worked together as mayor and deputy mayor at Salt Lake County. We parted when Nichole and her husband relocated their family to Washington, D.C. When I was elected to Congress, I knew I needed to convince Nichole to join my team as chief of staff. She's an incredible leader and is the linchpin of the work that we do in Utah and in Washington. Congratulations, Nichole. We make a great. I'm lucky to work with you.
Congratulations, Nichole. No one deserves this honor more than you do. You've worked so hard over the years on behalf of the Democratic Party, and you're doing such a great job representing us in DC along with Representative McAdams. I so appreciate it. I miss you, seeing you all the time. We're going to have quite a catch up post-COVID. In the meantime, hang in there. Thanks for all you do. An honor well deserved.
When I think about Nichole Dunn, many words come to mind. She is intelligent, a perfectionist, and a true professional. and an organizer and is very detailed. Because of these wonderful traits that she owns, she has the ability to bring people together. Nichole is such a valuable messenger for the constituents of the state of Utah and is the conduit between the citizens of our state and the voice in Washington, D.C. She is a networker, a gatherer, and an idea person that is able to complete projects that benefit all of Utah's residents. As I remember Donald and Nichole's wedding, what a joyous time it was for all of us. Together, they have done many wonderful things, such as raising a beautiful family. They have been movers and shakers, both in our state of Utah Democratic Party and Washington, D.C. She is truly a genuine person. What you see is what you get. She does not have a pretentious bone in her body. She is just a very nice person that would do anything to help anyone. I am very pleased that Nichole is this year's recipient of the Todd Taylor Democratic Gains Award. I can't think of anybody else more deserving. Congratulations, Nichole. Thank you very much.
I am very honored to support Nichole Dunn for the Taylor Award at the Taylor Mayne dinner. Frankly, Nichole is one of the smartest people I know. She's no nonsense, hardworking, and best of all, she got me elected to Salt Lake County Mayor. My favorite story of Nichole is when she asked me if I wanted to run for Salt Lake County Mayor, and my response was, well, what does the Salt Lake County Mayor do? After 8 years, we figured that out. She's also a little devious. While I was mayor, she would always go around my back when I didn't want to do something and talk to my wife, who she convinced to get me to do those things. She also has a great husband, and she laughs at my jokes, but I did learn when she was laughing to be polite and not because I was funny. Anyway, Nichole, congratulations. Well deserved. We all love you.
Congratulations, Nichole, on receiving the Todd Taylor Award. I can't think of anyone more deserving than you. You know, for the past 20 years, you focused your time and energy, your talents and your leadership skills on making life better for Utahns. You've made our political system better and certainly more organized. You're an inspiration to me, and I certainly know an inspiration to our kids. We're very proud of you, and we love you.
Hello, Utah Democrats. I'm Nichole Dunn, and I'm so honored to receive the Todd Taylor Democratic Gains Award. 20 years ago, when Patrick Leary called and asked me to run for Salt Lake County Democratic Party chair, I would have never imagined it would change my life. The opportunity taught me so much and brought so many amazing people into my life. I was lucky to have been born into Salt Lake County politics at a time I could learn from some of the giants: Joe Hatch, Randy Horiuchi, Patrice Arent, Tim Chambliss, Karen Shepard, and the great Ed Mayne, to name a few. Thank you to all who mentored me, challenged me, and supported me. I also got to be there when leaders like Arlen Bradshaw, Angela Romero, Peter Caroon, and Ben McAdams got their start. Shout out to the 2001 Young Democrats of Utah and the Bayou crew. You all made it so much fun and the long hours worth it. I keep you in my heart. And of course, I was certainly influenced by Todd Taylor. Todd was so good to take my calls and answer all my questions. When I ran for county party chair, I had no experience. I had only attended one caucus meeting, and it was in my living room. I had so many questions. Todd, with his suspenders, his big booming laugh, his sly sense of humor, and stunning knowledge of politics, was always a good listener, a good friend, and a great guide for making political decisions. He was a dedicated stalwart to the Utah Democrats, and I was lucky to have known him, worked with him, and called him my friend. Volunteering as Salt Lake County Party Chair led me to the opportunity to serve as Deputy Mayor for both Peter Caroon and Ben McAdams, and now as Chief of Staff to Ben. What an honor and joy it has been. I've got to see up close and personal what great leaders give of themselves to their communities. I've been able to learn from and work with some of the smartest, most kind, and compassionate people I will ever know. Thank you both for letting me join you on your journey, for your leadership, and for your dedication to Utah. Finally, I want to thank my husband, Donald, who made the adventure so fun and frankly possible. My kids, Max and Kate, who patiently participated in parades, lit drops, fundraisers, and more. My dad, who introduced me to this game of politics and has been my biggest fan. and my mom who prepared me in so many ways, and for all my family and friends who always came to every envelope stuffing party, phone bank, ice cream social, and convention I asked them to. Now I want to make one more ask. Let's honor Todd. Tonight, make a commitment to act. Choose a candidate and decide what you can do to help, what financial commitment you will make, how many hours you can phone bank, what neighbors you can reach out to. Visualize it, commit to it, and do it. We need to re-elect great leaders like Mayor Jenny Wilson, Senators Karen Mayne and Luz Escamilla, and of course, Ben McAdams. And elect new leaders like Greg Skordas and Diane Lewis. This all matters because together we fight for the values we believe in. President Abraham Lincoln is often credited with saying, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." Let's create it together. I promise you won't regret it. Go, fight, win.
Nichole, thank you so much for your dedication to the party and for all of your hard work and your efforts. I just want to share, the first time I met Nichole was, I don't want to date either of us, but I'll just say it was on Jim Matheson's, his first campaign. And so it was a long time ago. I think back in those days, Donald Dunn was running for Congress too. So it's been quite a while, and her influence has been substantial, not just for the Salt Lake County party, but also for the entire state of Utah. So her receiving this award seems very, very appropriate. The one thing that I will say is that for those of you who have worked in Washington, D.C. and have been involved in being in Congress, know that being a member of a congressional staff is kind of a different type of job. And in many ways, it's a job that involves people that are pretty young. They don't have families. They aren't married. They work all day, and then they head off to the bar to get something to eat and something to drink at the end of the day. And for those men and women who work hard all day, and then they go home to a family, and then they continue to do the really great work that people like Nichole do, it's particularly impressive. So Nichole, congratulations, and we're very happy for you to receive this award. And even though I cannot physically hand it to you, as I very much wish that I could, we will get it to you as soon as possible. So don't worry, it'll be in the mail soon. I wish that I could hand it to you personally, and maybe one day when COVID is all over, we'll be able to have a fun little moment and we can snap a picture or something. But at this time, we would like to move on and talk a little bit about the Ed Mayne Award. And to talk a little bit about that is Dale Cox. And so we'll go ahead and turn the time over to him. And I think that we have a video of him for that. So we'll go ahead and run that.
My name is Dale Cox. I've been asked to talk for a few minutes about Ed Mayne. For you younger Democrats that didn't have an opportunity and only know the name of the award that's being given tonight, Ed was a giant of a man, both in stature and in deed. He was a labor leader from the moment he stepped onto Kennecott's property as a steward and a local president, and he finally ended his career at the highest level of elected official as president of the Utah AFL-CIO. Ed was also a devout labor Democrat. He was a state senator for years, and he fought tirelessly for working men and women in that body. He led many charges in the House and the Senate to protect working men and women, and has worked hard up until the time of his death to protect us all. Last but not least, he was a devout father and husband, and his wife, widow, Senator Karen Mayne, continues the legacy in the Senate of Ed Mayne. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dale. I think that we'll now go ahead and move on to the award winner, which is Brad Asay.
Hello, this is Brandon Dew, and it was my distinct honor to be able to nominate Brad Asay for this year's Ed Mayne Labor Champion Award. And I could not think of someone more deserving of this award, especially during this pandemic. Brad continues to fight for our education employees and our public employees here in the state of Utah. And I think we can all agree that during these crazy and unique times, we need leadership like Brad to continue the fight for those who do not feel that they can fight for themselves. Brad, I've known you for a long time, and all I have to say is it's a distinct honor to be able to call you my brother and my friend, and I want to congratulate you on winning this award, and there is no one more deserving than you.
I met Brad when I was teaching at Cypress High School. He was a teacher in the Ogden School District, and we served together as officers of the American Federation of Teachers in Utah. Brad is a fine artist and an excellent fisherman, as well as being the president of AFT Utah. He's also a husband, a father, a grandfather, and a leader in his neighborhood and his church. And I mention those roles because he brings every single thing that he does in those roles as part of his perspective in serving the people that he represents in the union. He represents and speaks for the jobs and issues of bus drivers, paraeducators, school secretaries, K-12 teachers, higher ed instructors and staff, and he speaks to what they face in their jobs and what they face in their lives as education employees. The thing that Brad does also is he speaks to the principles of democracy and right representation that we all look for in our leaders. So congratulations, Brad, for receiving the Ed Mayne Labor Champion Award. Thank you for your example of activism and leadership in solidarity and democracy.
Brad is my friend. Brad is my guide. He is my wingman when I need to know anything about education. He's well-versed. He knows the legislation, and he gives me good insight. He shares the same passion with all legislators and his education community. He's someone we love and someone we need in the state of Utah, someone we value in our union family. I know if Ed was here, he would say, "Job well done, brother. Thank you for lighting the torch, leading the way for educators, working families, and for all the residents of the state of Utah. Again, thank you and congratulations."
Hey, Dad, we just wanted to congratulate you on this award. We're so grateful for everything that you've done for us as a family and for the union movement. Your willingness to always work whenever duty calls, and there's nobody more deserving, and we're so grateful for all you've done. And thank you for all you've done.
Brothers and sisters and friends of labor, it is my privilege and an honor to introduce to you the recipient of the Ed Mayne Champion Award tonight. I first became acquainted with this great union leader about 5 years ago. We spent many hours talking about our union members and how we can reinvigorate the union movement in Utah. We also shared many fond memories of things we loved to do away from our union jobs, and it was quickly apparent that we had a lot to talk about. We became friends immediately as we had so much in common. I was so impressed with his dedication to his members and his desire to make sure every single person that he represented was treated with dignity and fairness. He was given and continues to give his heart and soul to defending and promoting not only his union members, but he also took on the task of lobbying for our public sector employees union too. I am proud to call this man a friend and a brother as I present to you tonight a genuine and dedicated union man that is so deserving to carry the mantle and memory of another great union man, the late and great Eddie Mayne. Brothers and sisters, it is my pleasure to present to you the recipient of the Ed Mayne Champion Award, President of the American Federation of Teachers, Brother Brad Asay.
I'm truly humbled and honored to be nominated and receive this recognition. To receive an award that is named in honor of Eddie Mayne and to be associated with his dear wife and my AFT Union sister, Senator Karen Mayne, will be a high point in my life and in our family. On the wall of my office, there is a photograph of my great-grandfather, Carl Johan Jakobsen, and his brothers Swan and Otto. They were in their early 20s and had just arrived in the United States from Sweden. They were workers in the mines of Ophir, Utah, and later my great-grandfather would move to the mine in Kenilworth in Carbon County. More importantly, they were Union men, leaders, and organizers. Next to that photograph is a letter dated June 1st, 1946, written from John L. Lewis, President of the United Mine Workers, sending his condolences for the death of my great-grandfather. Carl and his brothers' names are engraved on a monument in Price, erected to memorialize the sacrifice of hundreds of miners who gave their lives working to provide and build a future for their families. These union leaders fought for safe working conditions, workers' rights, and fair pay. In the end, they even gave their lives for the labor movement. When I get to the point of exhaustion and sometimes despair, wondering if I shouldn't just hang it up in the face of opposition to our union work, I see my great-grandfather and his brothers looking at me with those slight smiles and the eager confidence on their faces. I hear them say, "Hey, you can do this. It's in your blood. Now get back to work." We are surrounded by heroes, essential workers that show up at the job site in the face of danger from a global pandemic. It's their efforts and commitment that safeguard our society. These workers ensure that we have lights, water, safety, education, roads, transportation, healthcare, living wages, and opportunities for our families, just to name a handful of their vast contributions. That's why we're unionists. We safeguard and protect workers and their families because we understand and know their importance and what essential truly means. In the coming weeks, a large group of heroes are going back to work in the face of danger and insecurity. Workers in our public schools and institutions of higher education will be walking into the unknown. Looking at the photo on my office wall this morning, I reflected about the thoughts of my great-grandfather as he looked at the entrance of that mine each morning before plunging into the darkness. Did he wonder if he would be safe that day? Did he hope that he would return home to his family that evening? Did he hesitate for a moment and think about turning around and just walking away? Many of these same thoughts are going through the minds and conversations among faculty and staff. I'm fairly certain that my great-grandfather did what these heroes will do on their first days back to work: grit their teeth and plunge into the darkness. And the unions will be there with them. They don't go in alone. We'll fight for them, strike with them, and unite them. I share this recognition and award with all my heroes, the workers, my union brothers and sisters, my dear wife and family, and a special dedication to Carl Johan Jakobsen and all those in past generations that laid the foundations of our great labor movement. Thank you so much for this award.
Thank you, Brad. Honestly, how inspiring. I think that at a time of such great turmoil, to have people like you leading is not only an inspiration, but a necessity. In a time when there's so little leadership that's happening in our world, having you at the helm of your great organization is actually not only a relief, but a comfort to many of us. You know, the first time that I met Brad, and I'll tell you, as the chair of the Democratic Party, this is the dream that you have. The very first time I met Brad, he said, "Come into my office." I was over at the labor hall, and I walk into the office, and he handed me an envelope, and he said, "I hope this will help." And I opened it up, and it was a check for $5,000, and that not only, in my mind, shows the commitment that he has to the Democratic Party, but also to the values that the Democratic Party and the labor movement share. And I know that together, part of this event is about the value that the labor movement brings to the Democratic Party and the value that the party brings to the labor movement. And it's my hope, my sincere hope, that that continues for a very, very long time to come. So thank you so much, Brad. Congratulations. We've got your award, and we will get it to you. And we certainly wish you and all of your colleagues the very best as they start to go back to school, which many of them already have. And our hopes and prayers are with all of you as we continue to slog through this this terrible time in our country. Folks, we are doing pretty well on our fundraising. We have raised about 30% of what we need, so we still have a little ways to go. We've altered we've adjusted the amount. It looks like there was a problem with being able to donate whatever amount that you want, but we still need some money in order to get this matching grant. Folks, this money is going to be going directly towards helping our candidates. We have at least 12 candidates this year that have a very, very strong chance of winning. It's our hope that we can get all 12 of these people across the finish line. And we're not talking about people that are running against people that are just nice and quiet. We're talking about people that are big names in the legislature that we can defeat. We're talking about people like Senator Harper, who has been in the legislature for way, way, way too long. We're talking about senators and representatives who have said things that would offend you, that would offend your families. We're talking about people that have introduced bills and legislation that have done things that would make us, every single person in this room, just sick to our stomachs. If every single person on this call right now donated an extra $5, then we would reach our goal. Okay, fine, maybe it's $50. Somebody just changed that number on me. So donate 5 and then donate another 50 and we'll reach our goal. I know that that's a lot to ask of some of you. I know that everybody is in a time right now when it's tight, and we just ask for a little bit of support now, because I can tell you that with the changes that are coming to this country and the changes that can come to the state of Utah, it's the Democrats that are in the House and the Democrats that are in the Senate that are going to be protecting our neighbors, our friends, and us. We were the only ones fighting against things like food taxes, and we were the only ones that were fighting for the little guy when big companies were getting tax breaks, when mining was continuing to happen in areas that were not supposed to happen. But not only the mining, it was also the people that should have been taken care of in those mines that were being left alone. It's one thing for this country and for this community to affect the livelihoods of people, and it's another thing to leave those people alone and not take care of them. It's the Democratic Party that is the one that's going to go out and help those individuals, not only the workers of this state, but also the people that are struggling every single day. So we ask you to just make a small donation. It doesn't need to be huge. We appreciate all the support you help. And now we're going to do something kind of fun. So let's see if Valerie, who's helping me out here, Valerie, can you put up our little graphic? We're going to do something kind of fun right now. This is a little thing that we call Where's Spencer? So as some of you know, Spencer Cox is our next governor candidate for the Republican Party, and we want Chris Peterson to be the guy who wins. And so we have created this little thing, and I want to see if any of you can find Chris Peterson on this, Spencer Cox on this, because I'll tell you, I have been looking for this guy a lot, and I cannot find him anywhere in the state. Chris Peterson is all over the place. He's talking to people. He's asking Spencer Cox if he can debate him. He's going around to northern Utah, to southern Utah, all over the place. And meanwhile, we can't find Spencer Cox anywhere. So where's Spencer? I will give you a hint as you're looking. He's the guy that has the biggest head in this picture. But, you know, take a look. See if you can find him. There might be a prize if you can find him. Go ahead and just put it there in the chat box if you can see him. Chris and Karina have done such a fantastic job running, and all I can tell you is that if I were Spencer Cox, I probably wouldn't debate Chris either. So Ingela found him. Ingela's our deputy director. She doesn't count. Okay, it looks like Rochelle found him. And Darlene found him. I wish I had a way to, is there a way for me to circle? Can you guys see my little mouse or something? I think they can probably see yours, Valerie. Do you want to circle him now? There he is. There he is. Now, I was talking to a few people before we put this up for you, and I was just not going to have him on there at all, because he really doesn't show up most of the time. But for those of you that have the opportunity, reach out to Chris Peterson, reach out to Karina Brown. They are fantastic. I was over at Murray Park last Saturday. They were handing out lawn signs with Greg Skordas and with Shireen Gorbani. We've got so many great candidates, everybody. All I got to say is that I have never met so many amazing people running for office, and every single one of these people would put any one of the Republicans that they're running up against to shame. So we are so grateful for all of your support and all of your help. And so now I think that we're going to have a special message from someone who came and visited us a couple of years ago, and that would be the former mayor of South Bend, Pete Buttigieg. We inherited our deputy director, Ingela Runquist, from Pete Buttigieg. She worked for Pete for several, I don't know how long you worked for him, almost a year, I think, as he ran for president. And so he was unable to come as a result of COVID, but he did record this message for us. So Valerie, why don't we go ahead and play that for everybody so they can hear what Mayor Buttigieg has to say to us.
It's Pete Buttigieg, wishing you all the best from here in South Bend. Of course, I wish that we could be gathering together in person, but I'm grateful to you for finding ways in these challenging times to still support our party, still gather, even if it has to be virtual. And most importantly, do that crucial groundwork that's going to strengthen our party going into November and beyond. Hard to believe it was just back in February that I had a chance to visit Salt Lake City for a wonderful event over President's Day weekend. And I enjoyed that visit and my other visits to Utah to be with Democrats so much. As a fellow red state Democrat, I was so moved by the enthusiasm, the energy of the crowds. And it convinced me anew that there is no such thing as a permanently red state. And making good on that begins with electing common sense progressive leaders at every level so that our fellow Americans can see how our everyday lives are shaped by the decisions made of people in different offices, governing according to our values. You know, the more we visualize what's ahead, the clearer it becomes to me that the future is not going to look like the past. And it shouldn't. There are so many problems with our old status quo that have been exposed and exploited by the moment we're living in now. The disempowerment of workers, racial disparity in healthcare access, ignoring international agreements, treating science like it was a matter of political choice. These issues were harming us for a long time, and now they've reached a dangerous proportion. And so we know that this is not going to be as simple as going back to an old normal. Our recovery ahead is going to be driven by decisions that will shape the rest of our lives. Choices that are made in the coming months and the coming years are going to decide what the decade and decades ahead will be like in America. Some of our old habits can't survive the pandemic. It also means that we can overcome some of the problems that they created. We can create new strengths and a better future. I think more than at any moment since the New Deal, we have an opportunity and an obligation in front of us to create a new set of arrangements and institutions, social and political and economic, that are going to serve us well for years to come. It's a season for imagination, for leadership, for boldness, for inclusion, for empathy. And that's why these elections matter more than at any time in our lives. I know I'm preaching to the choir on that, but I also know that it falls to you, to us, to make sure others hear that message too. There are still many people in our lives who are not sure how they're going to vote, not sure whether they're going to vote, who will listen to a friend or a relative before they will listen to something they see in an ad on TV. All of us can reach out, even or perhaps especially in these times when we're not able to gather in person in the ways that we're used to, and share a message about how important it is to engage, to step up, to volunteer, and of course to vote. And I also think there is a historic opportunity with what I've always liked to call future former Republicans to broaden the reach of our party, to create a sense of belonging in this shared future that will call to even those who never in their lives have voted with us before. This is a moment that makes so much possible because of what we are up against, but also because of what we have a chance to build together. I see that in the candidacy of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But I also see it coming from the ground up in the sometimes unglamorous offices that this party helps to make sure that we elect great leaders in. So I want to thank you for all of the work that you're doing. I want to urge you to keep it up and to continue to find new ways to organize and to motivate one another. And I very sincerely cannot wait for the opportunity to once again travel to Utah and be with you in person. But in the meantime, I'm so thankful for being able to have just a few minutes to visit with you virtually this way. Please stay safe, stay healthy, stay motivated, and stay involved.
Thank you, Mayor Pete. So I know that for some of you, I had indicated that we were going to have some words from Vice President Biden as well, and unfortunately on Wednesday I got word from his staff that as a result of a few things that happened this week, maybe that had to do with the vice presidential announcement, I'm not sure, he was unable to record something. So for those of you who are very excited to hear from Vice President Biden, I am truly sorry that he wasn't able to make it, and we will try to make that up for you at a later time. As you may know, with the debates coming to Salt Lake, the vice presidential debates, there may be some opportunities to maybe get Kamala Harris to do something, and we will try the very best that we can as a party to get some kind of an event put together, though that may be relatively difficult. Let me just conclude the evening by saying this to you. I think that Mayor Pete's words echo very true. The idea of future former Republicans is a very good idea in a place like Utah. As someone who came from a red state, I think that Pete knows that there is opportunity and time for change. And we are seeing that change here in the state of Utah. We are seeing a state that is starting to recognize that something has to change, that a one-party system is simply not a viable way to run a democratic state like the state of Utah, especially when we have people that are taking advantage of not only the financial resources that our state has, but also taking advantage of the people that have given power to the people that are running the legislature and running our government. Look, I know that we have a lot of people on the call today, a lot of people that are here listening to me that are not from Salt Lake County. Salt Lake County has for a long time been the center of our democratic politics, but it is not the only place where democratic politics exists. In the state of Utah, we have other states that are, or other counties that are starting to show democratic leanings. We have 3 other counties that have democratic majorities in their county councils, Summit County and Grand County and now San Juan County. Those are huge victories for our state. And I intend to see this state have more. I intend to see places like Tooele County regain a democratic majority in their county. I intend to see places like Carbon County, which used to be one of our most democratic strongholds, return to democratic values. But the only way that we can do that is by going to those communities and showing them that as Democrats, we have their best interest at heart. And we have to be able to show those miners in Carbon County, and we have to be able to show those teachers up in Ogden, and we have to be able to show those ski instructors in Park City, that the things that we are doing directly benefit them and will directly help them. And so the work that you have done today, even just by coming, by paying for that ticket, by by buying that table, by being one of those sponsors, has helped us today to be able to do the things that we need to do tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. Now, let me just give you each a little bit of advice, if you will allow me, as we conclude today. We are just 60 days away from ballots being dropped. 60 days from when those ballots will, fingers crossed, be mailed by the U.S. Postal Service to your doorstep. I strongly suggest that you do not wait to fill that ballot out. And I strongly suggest you tell everyone you know to not wait to fill that ballot out. Fill the ballot out and drop it in a drop box. I wouldn't put it in the Postal Service. I would take it to your county clerk and hand deliver it, because you don't know what's going to happen with that mail once it gets in there. Donald Trump will do what he needs to do to win this election. Take it to your county clerk. If you do drop it in the mail, drop it in on the 13th or the 14th of October. Do not leave it to chance, and don't leave it to chance for your friends or neighbors. The second thing is, take a day, take a Saturday, take a weekday, and make a few calls, walk a neighborhood, call a few friends, help out a candidate. If you need somebody to call for, if you need someone to walk for, if you need someone to lick a few stamps for, then please just give me a call. I will find someone for you. There are people in Weber County who are only 100, 200, 500 votes away from representing you in the Utah legislature. We have candidates in Summit County who are 200 votes away. They've lost by 250 votes to be your representative in the Utah legislature. And we have a lot of people in other parts of the state who are the same way. Now today we're talking about Salt Lake County and Summit County and Weber County. But tomorrow we're going to be talking about Carbon County, and we're going to be talking about Iron County, and we're going to be talking about Tooele County, and then we're going to be talking about Washington County, and we're going to be talking about San Juan and Grand County. This is a slow process, but it is going to happen. This state will be purple, and it's because of the work that people like you are doing that we're going to get there. I want to thank all of you for coming today. It is so appreciative. From the deepest part of my heart, I appreciate all the work that you have done to help this party. We're just getting started, folks. We've got so much more to do, and we got 80 days to get some stuff done. Congratulations to Nichole. Congratulations to Brad, and thank you again, Mr. Holder and Mayor Pete. We really appreciate all the work that you have done for us as a state party and for our country. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you again, and God bless. Have a great evening.